I just want to thank everybody for joining. One of the first things I wanted to do was thank all of the volunteers this year for all of their time and hard work so that we can have all of the wonderful events that we have throughout the year because we can't do it without them. I wanted to thank the wonderful executive board for all of their support and brainstorming so that we can accomplish our goals and continue to improve and grow. With that, I also wanted to announce, I did let her know this morning, I wanted to announce the Beverly Johnson Award recipient, and that would be Lori Flannery. Lori has been a part of the PTO and so for so long in so many different ways, including the PTO president. So we just wanted to thank her for everything that she has done. Hopefully I will get to meet with her and officially present the reward, and we will get that up on social media. Very excited for that. And then while I have everybody on, I would like to vote on our executive board for next year for the 2024-25 school year. That would be our incoming president would be Suzanne Donnelly. We would have our incoming new treasurer would be Amanda Coomer, and thank you so much for accepting that role and agreeing to take over for Theo, who has done such an amazing job the last couple of years. Our recording secretary, Elizabeth Ludwig, our corresponding secretary, Amanda Robb, both coming back, who did great this year as well. We are very lucky to have you. And our membership chair, Jamie Mahashkar, which we are very, very lucky to have you. Like I said, the exec board's been amazing and it's just going to continue to grow. And then the past president, which would be me. So I would like to vote on that, and I will first, if anybody would like to second.
I'll second.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. The VP is still open. We're hoping to fill that shortly. If anybody has any ideas or knows of anyone that might be interested, please feel free to reach out. You can reach out to me directly or through the PTO or anybody on the exec board. Okay, and then since I think we're going to be waiting on Dr. Gupta, we can move straight to the high school principal's report with Mr. Masters. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't hear you. We still are having a hard time.
You're unmuted right now, but we can't hear you. There's no volume.
I wonder if it's an issue of if his microphone has access or if Zoom has access to his microphone, maybe. While we wait on him, do you want me to jump in with the junior high report?
I'm going to go check on him.
Okay.
Yes,
thanks.
please.
Sounds good.
Okay. I think my brief update for the junior high would be that, oh, are you working now, Patrick? Still no. Okay. He could just be doing pantomime. I'm not sure. It's May, so anything goes at this time of year. I think that is probably the short summary, is that there are a lot of things going on, and I'd like to thank the PTO. We had our success breakfast yesterday morning, and 19 students were recognized. So that's one of my favorite events of the year. I know we do it twice a year, but it really is. It's really nice to see kids recognized for all sorts of different reasons that aren't tied to academics or athletics or anything like that necessarily, but just for the awesome people that they are. And, we could recognize everyone, but probably 20 is about the right size to have the ability to do it in that breakfast format and involve families. And it's just, it's a really nice time. So thank you for your ongoing support for that. Also for support of our staff and support for the Junior High Ultimate Challenge Day coming up next week. So it's just a lot of things happening in May, and we try to do our best to make sure that our students are having good experiences and that we're just paving the way for them for the future. But This is the concert season and it's the award season and it's the everything else season. So thank you for bearing with us as we go through this time of year and keep adding things to your family calendars. We try to do a lot of things for kids, and we know that you do too as their parents. And hopefully on the other side of this, they look back and they had a great time with the learning that they have. In terms of things that are happening in the building, and I'm taking a look at the in the know questions as well. Is it okay if I address an in the know question while we're kind of there? Okay. So the interview process, one of the in the know questions is, when will the interview process start for the school counselor position? That answer is about 2 months ago. We actually have already hired a person for that role who'll be joining us from another nearby district for next year. And we're excited about that. We think he'll be a great team member. And obviously Kelly will be sorely missed, but we think we found another great candidate to join that department as well. I don't know, Kelly, have you had the opportunity to meet or talk to Ben at all on a transition?
Yeah,
Did you-
I have I have met him. He is awesome. And we were just emailing before I jumped on here. We are, and this is kind of moving a little bit ahead, but the question came up last time about, maybe how we're going to transition with the juniors. I am putting together an email for all of my juniors. I mean, transition for all the grades is important, but of course, it's that key part with the kids doing the college application. So I'm sending an email out to all of my junior students and parents and explaining that, if they don't know that I'm retiring and that Mr. Moore will be taking over. And I wanted to run that past Ben, and he was fine with it. And I've already had a couple of kids who've asked me to write letters of recommendation for them. So I'm going to do that. And we're just going to figure out how we manage all of that. So he and I have been talking quite a bit. I have a career ed. He's going to take over the career education also. And I have a lunch set up with key staff at Fairmont Centerville on June 7th, and he's going to come to that as well so he can meet all of them. And I think the kids, the parents, you're all going to be really thrilled with him. He seems to be a really good guy. So
If we have a question about the transition, I can wait until Mr. Badenhop is done, or I could ask it now. So I can hold.
You can go ahead.
Okay, well, I don't want to mess up your report. Okay, so my question is, Lily sent me an email of a survey that was for the parents. And I looked at the survey, and I remember doing this for Andrew. What are your children's strengths? Where do you see? And I could, that's probably helps out with some of the letters, et cetera. But there was no formal email from the guidance department, unless I completely missed it, which is very possible, about this. And I opened it up, and I'm like, well, where is this going to go? And I know it takes a lot of time to do, and I just didn't want to just do it and then have it go off into some place. So
Right.
Are you familiar with the process this year?
I didn't know that had gone out, quite honestly.
Lily had a copy. She had to do one for herself, and then she goes, oh, there's one for the parents that you're supposed to do. And
Right.
I'm like, I didn't see it. And so she emailed it to me, and I didn't do it yet.
Right. And you can typically, what that does is it's just going to be a Naviance. And this is also not only a transition from me to Ben, it's also going to be a transition from Naviance to either School Links or Score. So I would maybe hold off on doing that right now, or maybe look at those questions. And I put this on my to-do. That's called the junior questionnaire.
Yeah,
And it is
that's
very helpful.
right.
It is very helpful to us. It's the junior student and junior parent questionnaire. And I will work on some communication with that because we're switching from Naviance to Score or School Links. I've gotten all the quotes for everything, and we're still just waiting for the final decision to be made, which one we're going to be using. And I don't know that questionnaire information will carry over to Score or School Links. So I don't want you to do all that work. So what I might do is set it up either as a Google form, or where you all can just email that to the school counselor. But I think a Google form would probably be better. So let me look at that. And again, I'm sorry, I wasn't aware that had gone out.
Well, yeah, like I said, she just said, oh, by the way.
Yeah.
So
I,
then,
I will get on this, okay? I will get on it
perfect.
and we'll get this all taken care of. So thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Well, one more quick question. With the transition happening between the two systems, what would your recommendation be? Because when August 1st hits, that's when everything starts to go crazy, all the sports and everything. So I'm going to try to get ahead of the curve on the whole essay questions and everything. So where'd we go? When would we when will the new system be available, or is that a next year thing? Because I feel like we're going to kind of be trying to knock a lot of the stuff out of the way of the summertime.
Right. And there's not a lot of that happens in Naviance. It would just be those questionnaires would be happening in Naviance. Students don't access Naviance to do their applications.
No, but we've been keeping a repository
Right.
of information.
Right, right. And again, I don't know, some of these decisions I'm, not, like I said, I've asked them to let me know what they've decided. And I will touch base with Kimby. I'm not really sure on the timing of it, quite
Gotcha.
honestly.
Okay.
But we're going to try to do so that it has the least impact as possible, like negative impact, but then it's going to be a very positive impact because either one of them, I think it's going to change kind of the way they do that applications. Because one of them, has a direct correlation to Common App. So
Okay.
we'll work on that and get that communicated to you.
Yep. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thanks. Sorry, Tim.
Can I mention a couple things about that? I think it would be, since some of that's a good point, that the students are keeping their resumes on there. And so before that goes away, Mrs. Owens, I'm sure you're thinking about like letting the students know so they can, take that info. And this is just a nuance, but because, I work with students on the process, it's called Junior Parent Survey and Junior Student Survey, but the students and the parents, in my experience, they do it over the summer going into senior year. And there's always that panic of like, oh my gosh, I missed something, because like you said, Mrs. Owens, it hasn't even gone out yet. You all don't need it to the fall. So maybe we could just rename it. I mean, it's just like a little tiny thing, but just so that people don't go, oh my gosh, it was a junior survey and now I'm at the end of my junior year and I didn't know about this. It could, save a little bit of panic. It was already a stressful time. And yeah, and you're right to do it. Google, it does not save, like it didn't save. So yeah, I always say do it in a Google form anyway, right? So that's a great thing. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing, and I think we might have touched on this in our last meeting, but there are some facilities updates too. Obviously, with the addition of the Rick and Jane Schwartz Performing Arts Wing, we, for the first time, have like extra spaces, which we've never had extra spaces. So Dr. Gupta has, and along with Mr. Eaton, our operations director, have decided on some of the kind of the next steps for that. So I wanted to share those with you just so that you're aware. Obviously, all of our music classes have moved to the new Rick and Jane Schwartz Performing Arts Wing. The art classrooms that we have remaining, the visual art classrooms, are moving Mrs. Gabbard into the old band room and Mrs. Savino into the old choir room. So over the summertime, there will be work done to remove the risers, obviously, from the choir room, to redo the flooring in there, to add sinks to that room. I think 3 sinks each to the what was the band room, what was the choir room, and move the art classes in there over that time frame, which will create openings in those spaces. We're moving the wellness center out of the library. It'll move into what is currently Mrs. Gabbard's room for next year at least. For that room and for across the hall, where we'll put Katie Papa, our gifted intervention specialist. That's kind of a 1-year plan. That doesn't mean it couldn't become a permanent plan, but we haven't made final decisions on what those spaces will be long term. What has been Mrs. Papa's room, which you might not even know exists, it is at the top of the stairs above the auditorium. It's a former teacher's lounge way back when, and when I look at older drawings, it's a very small room, and we've had the issue of like it not being large enough for some of the elective classes that she teaches. That is going to become theater storage / a green room. So it has the advantage of being right up above the back of the auditorium. And when we're preparing for the play or when the musical's happening, different things like that, it'll be a dedicated space for students to kind of get ready, where it's out of the way, it's upstairs. There will also have some storage along with that, which has been a need for our arts, performing arts. And then what has been the old orchestra room will become our new technology office. Um, you probably don't know where the technology office is currently unless your child has broken multiple Chromebooks, but it's in the back of the cafeteria. There's like an old space there if you go back through the cafeteria, and it's jam-packed. It's the same technology office we had kind of before computers, and now there's a little bit more need for space than they've had in the past. They've also kind of claimed storage throughout the district in different pieces and parts at every building, and it's going to give them the opportunity to kind of pull things under one roof into one space. And then what has been their space will become the testing center, which has also been in the library. So that'll be the quiet spot students can go when they need to take a test in a reduced setting in terms of fewer students, or if they need a quieter setting, or if they need extra time, the testing center will move out of the library as well. Which will give us the opportunity to kind of reclaim the library as a big meeting space, or as a library, which it hasn't been able to be since we did construction, since really the onset of the pandemic. It hasn't had that normal, typical library feel, and it'll kind of get back to that for next year. So it's going to be a busy summer in getting all those moves coordinated and making sure things can be ready to go for the school year. But those will be some changes with our facility for next year. Any questions on that, or questions in general?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We can circle back to Mr. Masters.
I'm in Kelly's office. We couldn't get my microphone to work, but one other space, I think, Tim, that the teachers have finally reclaimed their workroom. That has been a classroom, and it's been all kind of different things. Danis, I think,
Office, yeah.
Yeah, they've been running a second company out of there for a long time while we're getting ready. So I think the teachers are going to really enjoy having their space back in there, where it is truly a teacher's workroom again. But we have in the middle of 2 awards programs today. The juniors and seniors went this morning. Seniors got very few awards because they'll get all theirs on the virtual, and we've been taping those in the in Kelsey Jackson's room. Kelly has been running that. She's doing a wonderful job, and on top of all the other things that she does. So she's got her nice dress on today and her gym shoes. So we've got her running back and forth, and she tried dress shoes today, but they didn't work very well on the platforms. So we're into that. So between that, I also got to have the privilege of, we have a special needs student here that is running out of his time allotted in high school. And we've been practicing putting, for about a month now, he's been putting on a graduation robe. So he's finally not hiding it behind it with it over his head and that. And today we played at just about 15 minutes before we joined. I went down and played the music, and he came up on the stage and we shook hands, and I handed him a diploma, and we've got his picture up there and his baby picture. I don't know if I'd ever seen him smile that. I didn't know anybody could smile that big. So, I mean, those kind of things are the things that you live for in education, and God knows I've been in education a long time, so not a lot of things surprised me, but this was kind of special. So I think we've got him to a point where he's not going to be able to be at UD Arena, but we're going to have some people in and go through a graduation with him. Also, I'm sure you guys all know the Academic team, the 12th consecutive national championship. Over 67 kids received first place honors in that. So we're really, really proud of what they've done, along with all the other things that we've got going on right now. AP testing is in full go, and we have had a few complaints about, I know our own Jill Schaum's daughter on Monday went from AP 8 o'clock and had 7 minutes between her afternoon AP class to jam down food and whatever. So we've tried to allow students to leave if they're taking an afternoon at 11:20 out of their 4th period class, not have to go to advisory. So we give them some time between morning and their afternoon test. But you know, that was put together so well by the counseling. You knew there was going to be 1 or 2 conflicts in there where you just couldn't help having some of those bigger ones back to back. So hopefully we've got that taken care of, and kids will bring, I know in the mornings, they have snack bars, they have pastries, they have juices, and then some of the afternoon AP teachers, we get them PO numbers where they've been able to have pizza in their room where the kids can come in, and of course in 7 minutes, I don't know how quick you eat pizza either, but they're doing a great job. Obviously, next Wednesday is the last day for seniors, so if you have a senior, that's kind of coming right up upon you. We've got 2 more young people today signing scholarships to play athletics in colleges, and everything else that goes on with you notice the second page of the PTO, all the important dates that are happening and coming up, and it seems like it's something new every day, and so we're racing towards the finish line. So I always tell people, they ask how things are going, and I say, well, sometimes you look really, really calm, but watch a duck on the pond and they look calm too, but they're just going crazy underneath there trying to keep up. So if you know how that feels and how that would look underwater, that's kind of how we are. So I appreciate the time and the opportunity. Any questions for me that I may or may not be able to answer?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next up would be the staff liaisons report with Mrs. Owens.
I want to know what your lighting is, because I look like a ghost. Oh my gosh, I even pulled the blind down and I still look like a ghost. A little pasty. Anyway, so my apologies for my appearance. Thank you for those of you who joined the senior parent meeting. That was on May 1st, and that video is uploaded. We had a major attendance on there. That was awesome. I think we had up to 90 parents, and then I wasn't sure that some of the parents who wanted to view it had to ask for access. I'm sorry, but I did change that, and I gave access to everybody who had the link. So at least I was thrilled I was able to successfully record it. U-Science it is a kind of a product that our school counselors, I wasn't really involved with it. Mrs. Lumpkins, Mr. Wessner, and Mrs. Fiore all did U-Science with all of our English freshmen, and not all of them are finished just yet, but they're working on getting them all finished. But if you're not familiar with U-Science at all, it is a way for the kids to just kind of figure out different careers that they might discover, like natural aptitudes in, and make a connection with what they're learning and with their career and educational aspirations. So it is a nice program. Mr. Wessner saw it somewhere, and I think it was at Sinclair, and he's been wanting to do U-Science for a long time, and then was able to, with Mrs. Fiore's help and Mrs. Lumpkin's help, they were able to pilot that this year with the freshmen. And I talked to Mr. Wessner before we had the meeting. He said his goal is for everyone to take it next year. They don't know exactly how that's going to look and how that's going to be scheduled, but he's really excited about having that tool available, that program available to the students, so that they can take that and just kind of see what kind of careers and where their aptitudes and are leading them. Council elections are May 20th through the 22nd. You may have, when you go in the building, you see signs up. Some of them are very creative, and you'll see signs up for those. So those council elections are the 20th to the 22nd. Again, I want to thank the PTO and Oakwood Schools Foundation for making it possible to bring Carly Bush over in here. I don't know. I know Emma was there. I don't know if anybody else was there to hear her, but what a powerful message that she has. And if you haven't read the book, What Made Maddie Run, it was truly, for me, when I read it a few summers ago, it was just transformative. Just, how much I saw Oakwood in Allendale, New Jersey. And it's really spawned quite a movement. Like Bridget's reading another book, and I can't remember. She just told me yesterday what it is, Bridget Fiore. She's reading, something about it's about unplugging these kids from all the technology all the time. And she's like, I got our next book and I'm not going to be here, but I'm going to be reading it. And so it's really gotten some interest sparked for some other things that are coming. Senior awards will be available May 23rd at 6:30 via YouTube. If it was that which does not kill us makes us stronger, Amanda. I think Amanda Brown, you can attest to that. Amanda and I are running, and Lori Peters are, it's a lot. It's just a lot. But Amanda has really upped our game. I'm telling you, we go down and we record our presentations in the studio, and there's a teleprompter. And I wish I would have known that I could have asked for the print to be a little bigger. But she's really upped our game. So you're not seeing us like looking down as we're presenting. So thank you, Amanda. But we are pulling all of those together, and a big thank you to all of the donors, not just the Oakwood Schools Foundation scholarships, but we have other scholarships like the John Liston, the Melissa McGill Church Family one, and we have the John White. So there's a lot of scholarships and a lot of very generous people who are investing in the success for our students, our seniors, for their and supporting their college goals. So I think we've got almost all of them decided. There were a few little stragglers that we got that I was able to get those loose ends tied up. I am furiously working on getting the master schedule built. I sat down to do that last night, and then there were about 18 emails about the senior awards show. So I'm like, okay, so scheduling is going to wait till tomorrow, but working on scheduling. And the goal is, fingers crossed, the goal is that the kids will have their schedules May 22nd. If they don't, it'll be really close to then. And there will be communication out to the parents. There will be communication about if they need to make adjustments to their schedules. We're going to ask them and you to be very patient with us, because the counselors are pulled out of the building a couple days during those weeks for baccalaureate practice, for commencement practice. So we won't be available to make schedule changes. So we're going to, as we have in the past, have a schedule for schedule changes, and we'll make sure that that's communicated out. But I really, really want to have those done by May 22nd. So once I can get all the senior awards business tied up, I can hopefully do that. I think that's it for me. Any questions?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was able to hear her speak. I went to the parents thing, and yeah, she did a great job. It's pretty
We had a great
impactful.
turnout for the parents too. We had about
Mhm.
75 people show up. So that was
I know.
helpful too.
I know Amanda Robb was there as well. And then, yeah, so it was definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
She did a great job. Okay, next up we have the treasurer's report and store of rewards with Theo.
Hi. I have some notes because I'll go quick. I'm going to share my screen. I should have been doing that. Share. All right. Don't need that. Okay, so we are winding down here, and right now we currently have about 18,500 in the bank, and we have about $1,200 of expenses left. And some of these yellow notes are just little notes for me. We're going to have approximately $17,000 as a starting point for next year. And I'm going to touch base, but that's what my estimate is to close this year down. We had a few requests that we were able to support on top of our budget. I mean, throughout the year, but in the last month, we had $100 to support the junior high destination imagination, and $150 for the junior high ultimate challenge. Now, I sounds like, Mr. Badenhoff, that you had the junior high awards assembly and the junior high success breakfast. And I can write a check to the school. Should I just send that in to Mrs. Shawm?
That can work. We've had the success breakfast, but we haven't had the awards yet. Those will be on the 20th,
Well,
which actually that's probably a change from what we previously planned. The 20th, that is, our awards. We had used our previous schedule, but we found out Harmon is having its arts night that night, and we wanted people to be able to do both. So we ended up moving our awards to the 20th. But to answer your question, yes, that can work to just send it in to me or to Mrs. Shalom, and we'll take it from there.
gotcha. Thank you.
Hang on, Theo, sorry, I have a comment about that, but okay, but those, wouldn't that money go to the people that, I'm not that I don't want you to go to school, obviously I do, but what about the folks who, what am I trying to say, the chairs of the program who might have spent money on
You know what? You're right.
different
You're right.
programs?
Yeah, Dr. Crane, I think, did that last year for the awards itself. For the success breakfast, that would be Sharon or Laura.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
One goes to the school, one goes to the parents. That's right.
Right, yeah, so I would connect with Laura Wasty.
You're right. I was a
Right
mistake.
there about that.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
No,
and
no.
the other, I know
Man,
they're thinking
almost
there are other
perfect for
things.
2 years. I'm kidding.
Oh, God. Yeah, but I know there are other things that we can send to the school. That's probably what you're thinking.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like the banners. that coming up.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
All
Yep.
right. Thank you, Emma.
Yes,
Perfect. We have each other's backs.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Not to go into this too, I'm gonna take literally 1 second. You see these yellow right here, space 3, all the way down to John Wilson cash donation. He wrangled a bunch of community donations totaling $1,500. They don't have budget, so we help collect the money, and then he organizes a teacher appreciation that went to line item. You can see right here that for teacher appreciation, some kettle corn. So we just help him house the money, since they don't do that specifically, the Board of Education. Lastly, we for our current budget, we estimated spending about 16,500. And because of that project with John, it looks like our income's inflated, but we did spend about 16,000, or we're going to be spending about $16,000 out of our $16,500 budget. So are there any questions about this year's budget before I move quickly to the proposed next year budget? All right, let's do it. Okay, reality. We've always had $13,500 of potential, what we've projected for our directory sales. We've scaled it back to just under $11,000. It's been roughly between $10,500 and $11,000 for the last few years. And so we're going to estimate our revenue of $14,550 with the Dorothy Lane Market and the Kroger cards. Because we are reducing our revenue by $2,000, we had to make some changes in the budget. We've reduced our President's Fund. Teacher grants is very important to the PTO, so we've maintained that. We removed $100. We removed $100 from our career day. We removed $500 from the freshman challenge. We've not used that for the last 2 or 3 years. So this would normally be up here under the hospitality piece.
Hang on. Sorry, we can't see unless I'm missing it. Am I missing it? I can only see what you shared originally, right? Am I missing?
Right, that's all I can see as well.
Okay. So maybe you might have to do a new share.
There you go.
I'm just not on my A game.
Perfect. You are. I think I should be trying to,
New share. There's a button for that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Perfect.
I know with
with
the essence of time, I just am going too quickly.
Right.
Thank you, Emma. On point. You're in charge of me all day.
It's easy for me. I'm not doing anything. So yeah, you might have to scroll a little bit because.
Okay. So yep. So we can see here, this is where we're reducing our budget. We're reducing the President's Fund to $250. Grants staying the same. In this hospitality bucket right here, you can see I'm removing the career day and the $500 freshman challenge that's not been used. Staff luncheons, we increased that last year because of inflation, but gosh, they do such a great job and the parents support it so much. So we were able to keep that the same. Curriculum night, all of that is very important. Directory fees, that darn vendor increased it $100, unexpected. And then we reduced our printing fees from 1,600 to 1,200 because we printed less directories. And in addition, we had to we reduced the twig from 150 to 100. We removed the men's breakfast. We removed Muse. We've not used that the last few years. And then I talked with Hillary and we reduced the Girl Talk. So that's kind of that. Are there any questions about the budget for next year before I ask for a motion?
Yeah, and I thank you to Theo for doing this. Sorry, Laura, I know, but I think it's important to mention that the things we're eliminating, I think you all would agree, are the things, or reducing, well, really eliminate, are things that haven't been utilized the last few years. We really try to pay attention to, anything that's being utilized, keep as much as we can, and then just cut things that it's kind of like year after year, we're like, oh, well, that hasn't been used, and it's just in there as a placeholder, but we just.
And in addition, when we come in under budget, like we came in under budget for a few items under the recognition, then when Mr. Badenhop asked for $150, when there was a speaker, the veteran in the fall, that was $1,000, that was a lot, but we were able to flex and give. So this is a placeholder for lack of a better word. So gives us some structure. So I'd like to make a motion, or how do you do this? Emma, tell me what to do.
So make a motion to approve the budget.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget.
Okay, and I'll, what do you say?
Second.
That motion, make a motion, and then someone has to second it.
I'll second it.
Okay, and then all in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
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 Okay.
And if
Thank you,
anyone
Emma.
opposed,
I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Thank you. And Kelly, I don't see you on my screen, but I want to personally thank you for, everything you've done for our family the past few years as a guidance counselor. And I know we'll have closing statements, but that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Theo. It's been my pleasure.
All right, I'm out.
Thank you.
would
I do see that Dr.
Yeah,
Gupta
you want us to
and
jump in?
Amanda. Hello.
All right.
I-
Yes,
We are
good
ready.
afternoon. Yes, thanks for being patient with us. We're at Harmon. We're in their idea lab, and we just got done serving ice cream. So hands are sticky and things like we did not have ice cream. We didn't eat any today. But yeah, we got a chance to be at the junior high and high school yesterday with their staff to get ice cream to them, and it was fun. So I don't know actually what Mr. Badenhop and Mr. Masters already shared. So if I step on toes, I'm sorry. Did they already share? Did they already go over their update? Okay, perfect. And I should share here too. I have a student coming in 5 minutes for a meeting, so I'll have to hop off then, but I'll rejoin after if I can.
Dr. Tim also shared about my replacement too. So he did want to.
I answered that, and then I spoke
Yes.
a little bit about the structural changes next year for which rooms are moving to where and kind of what's going on with that.
Perfect. Yeah, so just kind of from a district level standpoint, if you remember, I kind of talk about 3 buckets, and actually we're starting to kind of look at I guess maybe actually putting some more meat around it. But for now, talk about high student achievement and what's going on across the district in our classrooms and our buildings. I think if you've not already seen it yet, but I do point out about Alex Hyde. Just that he is now, he's currently a National Merit semifinalist. It's moved to the potential finalist, and we should know mid-May. And it's a great honor for that. It captures a lot of hard work from him, his family, and his staff, and our staff. And so we'll kind of be waiting to kind of get an update on that as it comes out. Also, and you probably also saw, we got sixth in the state on the U.S. News and World Report for best high schools. And so again, and I shared this on Monday, that
Definitely, I don't want to take away that it's a huge component to the hard work of our staff. It kind of frustrates me at times on the methodology of how much it swings from 12 to 6, and all this stuff happens behind the data. At the same time, I know that that's how sometimes our parents make decisions on whether to stay, whether to come to Oakwood and things like that. So it's a great celebration point. Also that we got 12th straight for Division II for academic decathlon students. I got to be there personally to see them. It really gave me a good glimpse of how much hard work they do, and just that the honor that it brings, because there's some national big districts that are involved and that sort of thing. I could tell you that one of our students was the highest of, like, again, we're in Division II, so one of our students was highest of all the divisions. Division III? I think it's Division II. Okay. Was highest of all divisions. And our student got that. And I thought that was kind of a neat thing. You talked about the idea of destination imagination. We've got 3 teams that are going to be competing at the end of this month, and one of them being from the high school level. So appreciate actually your support for that. And there was a scholarship. I know there's lots of scholarships. One that was recently given on the Franklin B. Walter Scholarship through the Educational Service Center. And Erin, how do I say her name? Geller? Is it Geller? It's Geller. Erin Geller. She got the award. I think what was neat was she got the opportunity. Any award recipient gets the opportunity to name who their inspirational staff member is, and she named Tim Badenhop. I think that really says a lot, both for Aaron and then for Tim. I think that Tim and I had kind of a side conversation that sometimes there are some great accolades that we as principals have or administrators have, but just like teachers, we just want to make sure if we are making a difference in a student's life. And it kind of, we don't necessarily need them every day. We'd love to have that, but at the same time, you get those once in a while, and they're meaningful. So, Tim, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
On the academic front, I'd say from a district level standpoint I'm going to use the word, when I first got here, the question, I guess a recurring question I would get would be, what is our STEM philosophy in the district? I'll be honest with you, I thought the same thing. As far as how close we are to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, knowing kind of the demographic of our families and their backgrounds and what their experience levels are. We obviously are doing things STEM related in all of our buildings and in our classrooms. It's not that we're not. It's just that, have we tightened up and created a philosophy and a vision around what that looks like, and then possibly done some gap analysis work to say, how can we kind of increase it and do a little bit better? So I'm going to say that next year we're going to be dipping our toes in that, where that's going to be a large part of kind of what we're looking at. A second area will be how we responded. We were just in the teacher lounge with the teachers here at Harmon, but it's happening everywhere. What does artificial intelligence look like? I think that it might be easy for us at the very beginning to say ban it. It's just how our world is. And it's just, how do we then try to figure out how to embrace it, and how do we actually leverage it if there are ways to leverage it? And so, we'll continue to kind of experience that into the future. On the safe school side, I think about safety being physical safety, and then the social emotional safety of our students and our staff. And so Staff Appreciation Week this week has been fun. I've been in other districts. Actually, it's called Teacher Appreciation Week. I'm glad we don't just have teacher appreciation. I'm glad we say staff, because we exemplify and support all of ours through that. The second one is, and this is another dip the toe conversation and try to get, where's the community, where's the Board of Education? I think I know where maybe our staff is to an extent, but the governor during his State of the State address did kind of a mic drop and talked about that he's going to be looking at pursuing or working with school districts on banning cell phones. And so those are local decisions. The governor can't make that decision. But obviously there's going to be some more, I'm going to say publicity, I'm sure, that's going to start happening across. And so I think that, again, we'll have to start talking about that, and we should. Kelly actually brought it up, earlier in the context of, the bringing in, the conversation through our students' mental health, and knowing that not necessarily is banning cell phones going to solve it, for students, but just, are they going to have a space and a place, at least during the school day, that's going to help do that, reduce anxiety and help them to focus. And so, again, those are going to be conversations that we have to have. What happens at the high school may look like different than at the junior high or at the elementary school level. We'll talk about, now he used the word cell phones. We'll have to probably talk about personal communication devices, because cell phone or watches are starting to become, places where students are sharing information back and forth. And then glasses are starting to become that way also. So we'll have to kind of, be a little bit cognizant of that. Talk about retirement. We've got Kelly here who will be retiring. We're going to be honoring our retirees at the board meeting on Monday night. But we have a several number of retirees across the district. And so lots of years of experience, love. We talk about the art and the science of what we do. And, people like Kelly represent and exemplify kind of how you are able to do both and do it well. How do you love students and not look like you're always, just trying to go through this procedural system? She just seems to do it with just grace and through kind of this system and that's going to be missed. And we'll get to celebrate our retirees. I'm proud to say that the junior high and high school, if it hasn't been shared, are Purple Star designated schools. That means they've gone through a rigorous process. About 16% of our students are attached to military families. I think that's a significant number. And so Smith and Harmon already had that designation. They had gone through some steps that have received that designation. And so the junior high and the high school and Lang now all have that same designation. And I'm very proud as a superintendent to say all of our school districts, please come to Oakwood if you're attached to the military, because we will support and see your children and families. And then the preschool got a 5-star rating on what they do, the highest rating on just what we do in our preschools, which is also something important. I think from a safe school standpoint, what are we going to be looking at next year? If we said this year was about cameras and visitor management systems, I'd say next year is a little bit about what are our internal mechanisms of safety. I would say things that have done in the past, like looking at our ALICE drills, making sure as a staff that we are refreshing ourselves with those things. Things like wearing, I see Mr. Masters wearing it, like making sure that we're kind of like, I'm not saying requiring, but highly encouraging adults to have their badge. And if not, to stop and just ask a question. Our students feel better when they just know, like, this idea of stranger danger. So if somebody either has a visitor sticker badge on or that, and then we go from there. So those are things that we'll be looking at in the future. And then with processes and practices in place on, are we sure and do we have clear, succinct things if something were to happen? The efficient, effective operations side, you may have seen that we are launching a strategic planning part. In the next week or two, you should see a survey that comes out through social media, emails, and hopefully the Oakwood Register that says, take a survey that's going to give some feedback that's going to help us inform. Looking at our mission statement or vision, I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with our mission. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that after, I'd say, about 8 years, it's good for every organization, district, just to kind of look and refresh and say, is this what exemplifies who we are and makes us unique? And I'll use the word unique as people kind of take a look at things. And so we'll be able to kind of go through into that process and launch that or unveil it in the fall and then go from there. With that, I'll turn it over, actually, because this is a good segue to another part of one of the pieces with efficient, effective operations is our website. So I'll turn it over to Amanda to share some her updates.
Yes. So as I mentioned, I think in previous meetings, we are looking to redesign the website, and I'm excited. We officially launched the project this month, actually probably end of April. This month we're in design phase. So I'm working with a team of folks. We are not switching our vendor. We are using the same vendor. I don't want people to think that means it's not going to look great and updated and modern. Like, we haven't done anything on the design piece of our site since 2017. So what technology has done between 2017 and 2024 is drastic. So I'm excited to see how we're going to simplify and streamline information to make it really easy to navigate, super user-friendly, mobile-friendly, and also, getting information out there that's, quite frankly, like, really hard to find right now. One thing that has come through many conversations that I've had as we're leading up to this is like our calendars. So right now, if you go to our homepage, it has our district calendar. But if you're trying to find the calendar for the high school events, like, how deep do you have to dig to get there and find that and make it super easy for people? And the answer is we don't. it's out there. It's just not easy. So we're working towards that, and making it so if I have a kid at the junior high, but I have a kid at Smith, and I also want to know what's happening at the high school, I can quickly filter levels out and then have a one-stop shop for what's happening in the district.
I know.
It's, much easier said than done, but that is the goal. I'm also working with some of their webmasters right now to see if we can't, because I will put a disclaimer out there. This project is not quick. So the timeline right now is probably mid to late fall for an official rollout. I would love to launch it with a new school year, but I also have to make sure we do it right. We get the time to train our staff and our people on it before we just throw this at everybody. And in the beginning of school, like, that might not be reasonable. The Final Site folks have warned me that I am being way over aggressive on my timeline. So I'm sharing with you that their estimated rollout is like late fall. So maybe right after fall break, we could roll it out. We want to do it at a time where it makes sense for everybody. And when we flip that switch. But in the meantime, if some of these enhancements and upgrades can be integrated on our current site, so we don't have to wait until like October or November, I'm going to work to do that as well, because I do know that, there's some really, I guess, like long overdue maintenance for our website that needs to be taken care of. I'm well aware of that. And it's going to be a really interesting dance to keep the old site current and also be working behind the scenes on this new site. So if there's feedback along the way that folks have, I'm going to be working with staff, students, parents to make sure that I'm looking through those lenses as we build the new site. But anyone in this group, if I'm not like directly asking you and you have feedback, I'm always open to that. So super excited. It's going to be the biggest project throughout the summer. So, send me like encouraging words. I think it's going to be a journey, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
So
We love feedback, but maybe wait on, I wish you would have done it this way. At least a week after it's unveiled.
Well, and the good thing is, websites are not static. It's not like when you hit print and it's done. So there will always be updates happening to it. And so after we do that launch, just know like things can change and they will change. So always, as always, I'm available.
Mm-hmm. And then I'll answer the two questions, because then we've got to jump unless you have any questions for us. But the two questions that were asked ahead of time last night, Laura sent it to us, that I can answer is there an update to Dr. Waller, the principal position? I don't have an update. It's still under an investigation that we're doing. We do have to make sure I can't, I know it's, can you tell us more information? Due to personnel and some of the rights for our students, like I'm not able to share more than that. I know it doesn't feel great and I don't have a timeline on when it is, but so that I always kind of work off of that. I haven't shared anything because there hasn't been a new update to share other than that's what we're able to say at this time. But I don't mind saying that, to share that with you, that's kind of where we are. The other question was about school lunches. And as far as, any ideas, we have two ideas that I'm talking with Frank Eaton, our business manager on. I'm not willing to share them yet, because we're like, they would require additional costs and some things. And so we're looking at two options of things that we might be able to do over the summer to kind of help. And what we're looking at addressing is the line, like just trying to figure out how do we, I'll use the word, I'll say this, is there a way to split the line? Is there a way to whatever? Like we're always going to be constrained on the space, unfortunately, but sometimes students want the full lunch and sometimes just want one thing. And is there a way we can kind of figure out, that we give some students some options of different places to go? I'll say it that way, different places to go. If they know this is the line to get this, or there's another area to go to get something different. Hopefully that might do it. And then I'll try to take the line issue on the it's interesting. I just want to pause real quick to say this has been, I don't want to diminish it. It is a big deal, like to try to figure out the cafeteria thing. I also, like when I talk to our students during the superintendent principal advisory, it comes up when students ask me in the hallway. And I want to pause and just go, this is a good problem to have. Like other school districts are having this problem and this problem and this problem and this problem. And I'm in a place of like, I know I just got here and it sounds like it's been an ongoing concern or question of things. I'm willing to kind of say, let's test some different things to see what seems to work. You know, at the elementary, I don't want to say that they don't run out of food, but it's because at the right in the morning, you've got to tell, you know, you've got to check in and say, this, I'm planning on buying my lunch, or I'm planning on, I packed my lunch sort of thing. I don't know if our high school or junior high kids are in that space that would like, could you lock it in at 8:30? I'm not saying that we should go there. I'm just saying that's the difference that we're running into. And sometimes I'll talk to students at about 10 o'clock and say, hey, are you staying in, or like, are you going out for lunch? And they go, I don't know yet. So I don't know if I'd want to like our numbers would want to start dictating some of those things that would help. And obviously we've got to make sure we're it's a cost neutral program, that we're not overdoing food. I know under is horrible. The goal is to be at. And so we've kind of continue trying to tweak some of those things. But the line thing, I think, is easily solvable. Not easily. It's an easier thing to try to solve than I think trying to figure out the food. But I don't mind us trying to figure out some different things. Any other questions for us? Because then we're going to jump out and we're heading to the high school for awards assembly.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. I know that the lunches, even in looking back over previous year's notes, at least for the last 3 years, it has been brought up in the meeting. So it's been a perpetual, yeah.
Yeah, I think we have some ideas.
Okay.
Ideas.
Well,
Yep.
that's good.
I'm not saying
good
it's going to
hear.
solve it, but it'll test it and we'll go, oop, that worked, or that didn't work.
And I'm not gonna lie, my son was on his way back out to go to school when you mentioned the banning of the cell phones. And if you could have seen his face, he was like,
it
oh,
shock?
he was like,
Listen,
what?
I know.
said, just go.
Well, and I know me saying this today or me sharing this, like whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not for it. I'm not either way. To be honest with you,
Mhm.
it depends on the day, right? For me, it depends on the
Yeah.
day. It depends on the minute. I think it's just a conversation we have to have. Now, I think
Yeah,
that, again, I
absolutely.
don't know if I want to get to a place of like, do we start having votes and deciding? I think as an administrator and staff, we need to kind of think about those things and how we kind of navigate those things. But, you know, I think that what Kelly brought up is very important. I think that sometimes I don't think
Mhm.
parents see it as much as what we see, as far as the mental health, the anxiety. The book that Tim Badenhop put in the chat box is a book we just got, talked about, and I just ordered 3 copies, and Amanda, myself, and Allison are going to read it, over the summer sort of thing. But I think it's real, and we have to kind of figure out how do we, at least during the school day, slow things down. And are there certain ways that we can kind of help to teach kids how to use it responsibly, but also give kids space and permission to be able to put it away and focus.
I agree. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And one thing I just wanted, before you run, Dr. Goop did that, and I know Miss So-and-so will remember this, I brought it up before, and I know there are mixed opinions, but when we met with the soccer team, we talked about what can we do in a community to decrease some of the stress. They said that the posting of the honor roll, the high honor roll and the honor roll in the paper, I'm just trying to be a voice for the students, and maybe we want to ask again, and maybe that was, back then, now they feel differently. I'm not trying to, but they said that was, and we were going to look at it, and I don't know, if it's been examined, but they're like, it seems like it's more, like who's not on there. It doesn't take into context, like the rigor, or I have something going on. And I've talked about it before, and it's like, what are you going to do? Take away all awards? Like, no, so I'm not saying,
Sure.
Where I fall, but I just want to, since that's come up, I want to mention.
I did hear that. I didn't hear that specifically about the honor roll, quarterly honor roll publication. I've heard that about like the graduation, where kids going post graduation. And I heard that early on, and we actually brought it to superintendent principal advisory and asked them. Now, they don't represent, I'm not saying that they represent the whole school, that's in that room. And we talked about it, and there was kind of this 50-50, and I could understand this side, and I'm proud of this side. Amanda and I have had a conversation about that, and we're going to actually monitor the feedback. So you're giving us feedback, but we want to monitor that feedback. I asked the students, how do you want to be recognized? And they go, we want to be like, it'd be fine to have it in our school, like on a wall, or we get a certificate signed by the principal. Like that would be a great way to honor us. Does it need to go in the newspaper? they go, we don't even, students go, we don't even read the newspaper. Really, it's not about like, that's not how we get recognized. So it's really interesting on just, again, obviously these are things that have been here for a while. I'm not opposed to saying, let's take a look at those things and see what seems to make sense, and what may have been a great thing 5 years ago. Is it still great today? I don't know, but it's worth the conversation. And so I'm definitely taking what you're saying as a piece of feedback.
Agree. I think the paper, I would agree with you. I think the paper, when you get a photo of the kids, it's like, great job, Butler girls, I'll just say that, like, to me, I know it's meant like really nice, but to me, it's like, like, I don't, just personally, I don't need that. I want it to stay private, because what
Sure.
if something's not on there and it's like, anyway, but I
Oh,
agree.
that's good. Good feedback.
School's different than, but other people might feel differently. So
Yeah.
I think asking parents, asking kids is all we can do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye, you too. Thank you. I think the only thing we have left would be the Oakwood Schools Foundation update from Emma.
Oh, and I'll be really quick because everyone's so busy.
I know.
We will be at that day in May. We'll be in the parade, and we will also have a tent. And so if anyone has any questions or would like to be involved in helping with the Flourish campaign, we're still, yes, that's open, right? But we're still, or the building's open, but there's still kind of needs out there and things that we're raising in different campaigns and opportunities to get some more recognition. And so please come visit us at that day in May. We'd love to see you there. Like I said, we'll be set up like at the Schaefer Park, the community gathering. The Parker Love of Teaching and Lifelong Learning Award is, very hush hush, but that has all been decided and will be rolled out sometime this month. And that's all I could say, but be looking for like the rah-rah communication. That is a wonderful, wonderful thing for one of our teachers. And we had a lot of teachers nominated this year. I mean, I don't know if it was a banner year. Mike can speak to that, but it was a lot. And all those students will, she put something in the chat. All of those, teachers will be recognized in the fall. So they'll get certificates, even if they didn't win the award. So that's awesome. And just, thank you for the Carly Bashovin, and, so wonderful that came together. Talked to Miss Randall about that and some of the students. And I think there's a desire to kind of keep that book club going. And I love the idea of like having a parent session like that at least one time a year, and then having the students be involved in a book club with Miss Randall or whoever. And she said, oh yeah, I definitely want to do that. And I know, my daughter was part of that, and she has a desire to do that. So, reading, talking with the group about the reading, mental health, bringing someone in to speak to the parents, like incredible. So I'm so proud of our partnership with PTO and OSEF and the school, that we all came together to make that happen. And I just think it's awesome. And it really speaks to the collaboration we have between all of us. So that's it.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I know everybody's busy. Thank you, Mrs. Owens, again, for everything you've done over the years. You have my daughter and my son for 1 year. So I really appreciate it, and I wish you luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And
Work with the kids.
yeah. And once again, thank you. And it's been my privilege to be the president this year, and I'm looking forward to the continue, as Emma said, collaboration between the PTO and OSF and the district and the boosters, just to see what more we can accomplish. So thank you, everyone.
Laura.
Thanks,
Thank
Laura.
you.